everyone now is familiar with Akamon. They were kind of off the radar, at least to most people I know in the casino business for a while, but they were the most successful social casino company in Latin America, and have now expanded from web to Facebook as well as mobile, and doing a fantastic job. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you, Brock. Hey, everybody. Listen, after all these presentations that we saw with tons of metrics, I decided to change mine, and I'm basically going to show you only pretty pictures. This is me. I'll be presenting to you guys. The only thing interesting to know is that before this, I was running an airline, and before running an airline, which also has tons of metrics, and it's very easy to lose money, I was in a real money gambling operation. So you'll hear a lot of comments and ideas about how this relates to real money eventually in different markets. So what's the idea behind Akamon? So the idea was to basically launch a social casino company, specifically avoiding the most lucrative markets, which are the US, the UK, and Australia, staying mostly outside of Facebook canvas for the first 2 years, and also being late to mobile. What the fuck? That's exactly what we did. Why did we do it exactly the opposite as everybody else? Well, the first I think, and we had a second great idea, where to base the company. And we based it in the strongest economy right now in the world, with the least unemployment and the best banking system. There we go. We're going to change the name of the country to Spain instead of Spain right now. It's a disaster. But that's where we are. We're very happy. We're very happy to be based in Barcelona. Our development center is in Valencia. But as you see, our most important markets are not there. So the first idea behind doing a company like the one we did is that the US, Australia, and the UK are crowded. And they're crowded by very, very good operations, like the one we saw before, like Playtika, like Double Down. So we said, listen, if we want to compete, it's better to be in a place that it's not that crowded. Is it a big market enough to focus only on Southern Europe, defined as Spain, France, and Italy, and everything south of the Rio Grande? Well, it is a very big market. It's at least a $500 market today, according to Superdata and JP Morgan Research. And we believe that it has at least the same growth rates as the others. So we are specifically focusing our efforts only in Southern Europe and Latin America. And one of the things that we like at Akamon is to compete when there's nobody there. It's a key idea. It's a key idea. I think starting to launch a company today in slots, Facebook Canvas and mobile, on the UK, Australia, and the US is a brave idea, but I think it's basically late. So what's the scorecard so far? We founded the company in July 2011, so it's barely 2 years. In fact, we're going to be celebrating our second anniversary in a couple of months, and this is the scorecard. We're going to be closing 2013 with around $16 million, according to the numbers that we have. The monthly revenue right now is around $1.1 million. We are growing consistently between 4 to 9% month on month for the last 14 months. We have a very high average revenue per DAU, and that has a lot to do with the platforms that we compete. A blended cost of acquisition, what he calls COA, I call cost of CAC, of $26. When I say blended, it's what's the combination of users that you bring while paying on Facebook ads and everything else, and the ones that come on their own, and lifetime value of around $200. So the company is doing well with this very strange idea of avoiding the most lucrative markets. We're very fortunate that you guys as an industry have recognized us. I won't spend much time on this, but we were fortunate to win the EGR award as the best bingo product last year, and also the Rising Star. And for a Spanish company, it was very good also to win the GamesBeat Startup of the Year in last July. But most important, we won also the best place to work in our category, seventh best place to work category in Spain. And I think we're doing something right when our own workers tell us that they're happy to be working with us. But we feel that we're just getting started. We believe that this idea has potential, that this market has a huge potential, and that this $500 million market, which will be growing, is a market very interesting to be focused on. Let me try to share you the story of how. We've been doing all of these things and measuring every step, And this is the way it looks. First, one thing that is different from everybody else is that we do these games on the left side of the screen, for you, left side, which basically are local games, and we monetize through social casino games. So the first games are games that everybody has played with their grandparents. Truco in Argentina, Chinchón in Spain, Belote in France, Buraco in Brazil, Scopa. Those are card games that everybody has played. So those are the games that we use to acquire users. They don't monetize that well, but then we cross-sell them to the games that everybody else has, poker, blackjack, roulette, and everything. So the first idea here is present to the audiences things that are culturally relevant for them, and then monetize with the typical games. Cross-platform, we are still believers that .com destinations can monetize very well, especially in the markets that we are, because not everybody has access to mobile platforms. Obviously, Facebook Canvas, and now mobile. The idea here is that from the early on, we decided that regardless of the point of entry of our user, they could play synchronously with everybody from another platform at the same time. And as we also do white labels, we also wanted our white label partners to have the same share liquidity with everybody else. That has been achieved on the technical ground, and we're proud of that. Social gaming does not necessarily mean happening within a social network. So we are believers that there is life outside of Facebook. Facebook continues to be essential, and the open graph information continues to be essential. But in our opinion, there is life outside of Facebook. And my friend Sean obviously would disagree with that. And he is a good friend of the company, and he always gives us very good references. But we made most of our business in the first year outside of Facebook. And people in Latin America, as emerging markets, love to hear about you guys, what you think about Asia, still serve the normal web. Now, Facebook has a huge penetration in countries like Colombia and Argentina, but they also use other networks that you will see, and they also serve the normal web. I love this slide because it tells you a little bit why Americans, for example, are not doing well in Latin America. Because they have huge cliches about the continent. Is it an easy continent to do business with? No, very difficult. But then again, I mean, the fact that it's difficult, it's also the opportunity. And I think Asia, in many instances, can be seen by US companies in a similar way. Now, it's not a stable continent. And if you are not ready for big surprises on currency fluctuations or changes of rules or tomorrow of difficulties of taking the money out of countries ruled by these people, well, one of them has passed away. But if you're not ready for big surprises, you should stay out of Latin America. Look at this slide. On the left side, you see people playing a game of Mus in Madrid. And on the right side, you see people playing a game of Truco in Argentina, in the streets of Buenos Aires. The social scene is exactly the same. And they are 10,000 kilometers away. It's exactly the same sort of social relationship. They're talking, they're having a drink, they're playing a game of cards. We discovered that, and we thought that the social features that applied to one of the one of the groups was similar to the others, and the cultural similarities are very, very big. Another thing that we learned is that when you start developing a card game, for example, for Argentina, by changing only 20% of the rules on top, you have a different game for, let's say, Italy. So even from an economies of scale point of view, having a network of countries with very similar cultural characteristics helps you even on the development phase of games. Another important thing is that while the entire continent, Latin America, is a very interesting emerging market per se, the 1,000-pound gorilla is Brazil. Yes, everybody speaks about Mexico, and Mexico is a hugely interesting country. Of course, it's very close to the US, but Brazil is the 1,000-pound gorilla. I mean, Brazil, along with China and India and Russia, is part of the BRICS, and from the Brazilian part, every number that you read is accurate. I mean, we started Brazil only halfway through our first year, and today is our biggest market by far. And people love to play games in Brazil, people love to be online, people actually monetize in Brazil, better than we expected. And there is a lot of untapped opportunities. Does anybody know what game that is? Anybody? Jose? Nobody? This is a game called Jogo do Bicho, and it's played in the favelas of Rio. And no company had ever done an online social casino version of this. It's like a bingo, but it's a Brazilian bingo. So that's our next game. And there's still a lot of untapped opportunities of games that are played in that region that have not been translated into social casino and social gaming experiences. So how do we distribute? We distribute through Facebook Canvas, of course. We have 9 apps. We distribute for mobile. We're slightly late to mobile, although our first app is already out, and you'll see later what the roadmap is. But we also distribute through proprietary portals. The left brands are brands that are owned by us, Mundi Juegos, Ludijogos, Mundijeu in France, and Ludijoc in Italy. And all of the right side partners are people that carry our games. We're very proud to be Spiel Games, largest casual gaming site in the world, partner for social casino. We also operate social casino sites for UOL. And I don't know if anybody here knows Taringa, which is the largest social network in Argentina with 70 million users. Well, if you go to the social casino tab or social gaming tab, it's us operating with them. So it's about striking deals, shaking hands, taking planes, talking to local people, and distribute through I actually didn't know Hernan, who's the owner of Taringa, but I found out through a third party that he was looking for a gaming partner, so I took a plane, went to Buenos Aires, said, listen, I would like to operate your gaming staff in your sites. And we presented the deal, and today we have all our Taringa users accessing our games. Payment systems. Well, you're working through Facebook or through the App Store, payment systems are taking care for you. Yeah, then you're paying 30%, but it's taking care for you. But when you're distributing directly, you need to make sure that local markets and local users have the payment systems of their choice. So we are also establishing direct relationship with payment systems in the region in order to ensure that they're present in every distribution channel that we have. Does anybody know who this person is? Well, you should. It's Pareto. And Pareto is the person that created the rule by which we monetize, all of us in the social casino industry, our users. And the same way, this guy, who is one person out of 24, scores 60% of the goals of his team, which is my team, which is FC Barcelona. In our business, whales represent 3% of customers, but 60% of revenue. So chasing whales in South America, in Asia, I'm assuming, in the US, is what we do. And chasing whales means a lot of analytics, like the previous speaker said, and understanding very well where these whales come from and what makes them happy. At the end of the day, it's a Pareto rule, and 3% of your customers will represent 60% of revenue. Mobile will change everything anywhere in the world. It is changing everything everywhere in the world, and in Latin America, it's not the difference. A lot of Latinos will surf the web for the first time through a mobile device, and they will never go back to a PC. Mostly, it will be an Android chip device, and this is happening already. It's not only something that you read in a investment banker report. If you walk through the streets of Sao Paulo, a buzzing city, you will see that people are surfing the web through chip Android devices. So basically, for us as a company, it's either go mobile or die. So that's what we did. We launched our first bingo product on iOS a few weeks ago. Metrics are looking very encouraging, but I'll be sharing them with you in further sessions. I think I'll see some of you guys in San Francisco. And we have 5 more games prepared to go on mobile in the second half of the year. Again, specifically geared towards the Latin American markets, Southern Europe and Latin American markets. Now, the interesting thing when you start getting the benefits of cross-platform, and especially for us with a big .com presence, is that 80% of the chips burned on the iOS app were in fact purchased at the portal. So say, well, that doesn't make any difference, does it? Well, it does, because when they're purchasing at the portal, we're not paying the 30% commission. So somebody in Cupertino might eventually find out, but so far we're happy. We're going to stick to the strategy. You know, again, I mentioned before that I count Sean Ryan as a good friend of mine, despite my slide saying that there is life outside of Facebook. And what Sean always tells me is, you guys stick to your strategy. Don't do anything differently. I mean, at the end of the day, what we know is that we can compete in Southern Europe and LATAM. We believe that there's very, very strong players in taking care of the US, UK, and Australia markets. We believe that the Asian market for social casino is in the process of being defined. Love to hear your thoughts about that. But Akamon will stick to Casino Latino, because that's who we are, and that's the leadership position that we've acquired and we don't want to lose. And we have to give credit to some luck in that definition and design of the strategy. Because at the end of the day, you think about it, from an economic point of view, Southern Europe is a very mature market, France, Spain, and Italy, now economically depressed, doesn't grow. But then again, it's very mature in payment systems, people know what they're doing online. Spain, with a 27% unemployment, has a 65% smartphone penetration, highest country in Europe. So people don't have jobs, but they actually buy iPhones. On the other hand, in Latin America, everything is up for grabs. Everything is growing. You still don't know who's going to dominate the market. So we're very happy to be in two areas of the world that are naturally hedged against each other. Now, if you put a gun to my head and you make me pick one, I'll pick Latin America. But still, I think both are very interesting to have in your portfolio. And they are related to each other. They speak the same languages. Real money in Latin America will go much faster than what people think. Let me show you this slide as a proof. This did not even make the press, but today there is a federal license in Mexico, it's a 100 and something million market, to operate online real money, a real money product. And this did not even make the press. Why did it not make the press? Because people behind this operation did not want it to make the press. But today, IGT and a partner called Codere are operating a real money site with a federal license in Mexico. So the real money movement in Latin America will go much quicker than when people anticipate. And we want to be there. This is our prediction. You know, with everything happening in the US, New Jersey, Nevada, with real money gaming, with 3 core markets in Europe regulated, France, Italy, and Spain, with the UK being a mature market for a long time, our prediction is that Latin America in the next 5 years, at least the biggest markets there, will get regulated. And social casino plays will be essential in order to have the databases ready, understand user behavior, and of course, getting people trained to play the same games that will be offered later. So in the meantime, some people will be paying attention to what we do. Some of these guys we know already, some of them go through the office, we like them all. Akamon will continue driving its strategy in Southern Europe and LATAM, and maintain discussions with everybody that wants to speak to us. And in the meantime, we recommend to keep calm and play bingo. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? I know I've got one as the expert from the gambling industry and lots of experience in real money. Again, video game industry globally, call it $80 billion. Real money gambling space, 400 million, maybe a trillion plus, depending upon what metrics you look at. What strategy, what's your kind of go-to-market? How do you take advantage of this liberalization of gambling trend happening in the Western world?
Well, I think for a social casino company, the big secret, everybody's best kept secret is how are your users converting to real money? And that's a question that lies around every conference that we all go, that nobody wants to answer, and that some of us may or may not know the answer. We believe that what's going to happen is that in regulated, let me take you the example of Spain. 52 licenses were issued at a very high cost, around 6 million euros each, only on bank guarantees, plus $1 million in the process. Plus you had to have so many papers, and only 42 companies are operating. So in fact, 10 companies went through the trouble of getting the license and are not even operating. So what you're going to see is acquisition cost for real money in every regulated market goes through the roof, because they're competing in a ring-fence, regulated environment. And I think social casino companies are going to be the obvious choice of trying to go and get our users. I mean, our phone rings every day of companies with licenses in Spain trying to buy our users. And our position so far has been, we're not selling. We're not selling our users. I think it diminishes on the experiences of our users today. And I think as a challenge, both industries, social casino and real money, need to find an integrated experience where it makes sense for the user to understand that they're changing the environment. I haven't seen anybody doing that successfully yet.
Thank you. Any other questions? Well, one thing I think that differentiates you, aside from being focused on emerging markets, is the fact that you have you started on the web.
Yes.
Lots of, I'm sure, browser-based sort of gaming experience in the room, but for the social casino industry, it started on Facebook and it's been mobile. You're really the only major operator that has a independent destination web presence. What can you tell us about that? How important is it? Is it a strategy that others should be considering?
Well, I mean, we've heard of a small company in San Francisco called Zynga that wanted to do a Zynga.com. I don't know how that they're doing. No, I think, look, I think what we see as an advantage of having a destination site is obviously not rely on a decision taking by somebody else on increasing from 30% to 35 to 40% because they need to meet next quarters. It's cumbersome. It takes time in maintenance. Before everybody says, I can say it myself. It's less efficient, but I think it's a very good protection against somebody. We'll stick to it. I don't know if we'll grow from it, but we'll stick to it. But we see our growth obviously on mobile, no secret. And there's a question there.
Any other questions? Oh.
John Lee, ZeniMax Media.
Hi, John.
Great speech, by the way. I just wanted a question on the first slide, your what the fuck slide. Your web first and mobile later. I think Brock asked a question about mobile a little bit, but when do you think is the right time to push big into mobile for LATAM and South America? It's
a good question, John. I mean, the obvious question would be the sooner the better. But the truth is that, let's take the biggest market in Latin America, which is Brazil. You're seeing penetration getting extremely interesting, especially on Android devices in Brazil. Monetization is an issue. So I think at the end of the day, it's more about having the right product and understanding the right metrics for that sort of users than actually rushing a product out. Now, if you take Southern Europe, we're already late. Southern Europe is a mature market. Again, Spain, 65% penetration of smartphones. France, a very high number too. We're already late. So we see our mobile presence in 2013 being more important in Southern Europe than in LATAM. We believe that LATAM will mature very fast, and we believe that the year will be 2014. Not for usage, which is already happening, but for monetization.
Any last questions? Well, thank you for coming all the way out to Singapore and sharing this information. Outstanding presentation.
Thank you.